Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the end of the year because that's where we are. And so we're going to look back at it. And I'm going to talk with my good buddy Tim, who we used to co-host a podcast together called Tim Talks Movies with Seth. So today Seth's going to talk movies with Tim. How many movies did you watch this year, Tim?
I watched 16 movies when it's all said and done. Not that many.
16 new movies that were released this year, and I got in, I believe, 41. And so, which it's one of those things I'm like, oh, it's not that many. But then I'm like, that's so many more than like the average person will watch in a year.
41 for like movies that came out in the specific year is a lot.
Is it? Okay.
Like, I feel like that's a lot. I mean, there are people out there who saw 100 movies who came out this year. But I think you're well above. Like, I think at 16 movies that came out this year, I'm probably above average on people like seeing new movies.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Yes. I would agree with that. Why don't we go through your list, your top 10, and then if it comes up, we can talk about it I can talk about it too from mine.
Okay. So, I mean, I only saw 16 movies. So my top 10, starts off with movies that, honestly, I didn't really see that many movies that I disliked. So let's just say that. Number 10 for me of the year was Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, or whatever it's called.
I saw it.
I thought it was good. It's got Deus Ex Machina at the end, which kind of ruins it. Which it really bothers me. That's like the one thing dragon? I really like. Well, it's just like they don't establish the dragon really. Like one time she mentions like, oh, there's an old protector, but like all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we need the dragon to win, and don't like that so much. But other than that, it's a good movie. It's like I'm starting at 10 and I'm like, I like it, but it's not great.
Yeah, I like this movie. It is on my top 10, and it is also at my number 10. Yeah, I think this movie's pretty funny. I can't remember if it was you that's saying you're not a big fan of Awkwafina in this movie.
I really like her in the movie, but it feels like she's in a different movie than all the other characters.
Okay.
That's just the way it felt for me. It just feels like she's really good, and she's such a good actress, and really... she's very entertaining on screen. But a lot of times I felt like they were using her to like make jokes to like take pressure off moments or whatever. And sometimes it was just too much.
Yeah.
And then they had another character who was also doing that.
Yeah. Kind of like in that normal Marvel way. That sometimes they don't find that balance with. So, yeah. I mean, I had a similar problem with her in Raya and the Last Dragon. But just the way that she talks is so, like, modern, right? It's like, and it doesn't really feel like she's doing anything to not sound like Awkwafina as the dragon. And so, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I like that movie too, but it's not in my top 10.
So, 9, Eternals. Another Marvel movie. I like this one slightly more. I think that's just because I'm a big history fan. I like the stuff where they like showing stuff from back in time. I thought that was cool. So made me like it a little more. This is not a groundbreaking movie in any way. I think it's very formulaic and probably a bad example of what Marvel should do. But I like the parts where they go back in time and show stuff.
Sure. This movie's not in my top 10. It is my second lowest out of all of the Marvel movies that came out this year. Black Widow is right below it. This movie ended up being my 17. I really like the scale of this movie, like the physical scale of some of the shots, like when you're with the Celestials and everything. Which also that's confusing, like when I'm just sitting there and trying to think of who is called what, like who is a Celestial, what is an Eternal, and which one is which. But I do like the scale of a lot of that stuff. The action, I think is pretty good. Then there was more of it than I feel like they said there was going to be, or like the trailers made you think there was going to be. Like there was a good amount, and kind of like a little diverse in how it is. Like you get some speedster stuff, you get some just like pretty much Superman stuff in there too, and then I do like the kind of like the reveal at the end too of like who or what is the actual bad guy. And so
yeah,
it wasn't my first guess of who it was going to be, but I don't really feel like I want to just out and out spoil any of these movies, but
no, I felt like there was almost too much action in Eternals. Like I have it number 9 on my list, but I feel like there's almost too much action and not enough. Like with how many characters you have, there wasn't enough time dedicated to like character growth.
sure.
I felt like you only get it with a couple characters. Luckily, most of the ones who you don't get character growth with don't die, so that's good.
Yep.
You have a chance that they can grow later. So not every character has to grow in every story, but it just felt like they didn't do enough of that for an origin story.
This movie also does the thing that I struggle with sometimes, where a character does something that I feel everyone should be way more mad about, but then they're just like, we forgive you. And somebody just kind of gets off scot-free at the end. And I'm like, I feel like you should be more mad at this person. And
But they've known each other for like 10,000 years.
That's fair. I mean, like, how many times have they literally stabbed each other in the back, right?
Yeah.
Countless.
So they have a different perspective than you or I. They're eternal.
They are the Eternals. Or no, not just they are Eternals.
Just Eternals. My number 8 is another Marvel movie, Black Widow.
Again, not on my list.
This was very nearly my favorite Marvel movie of the year, so...
There's a big jump in your
Spoilers.
where they land on your top 10.
No, I really like Black Widow. I think it's a fun spy thriller. It's kind of weirdly placed that this movie came out after the events of the Avengers movies. I mean, I understand sort of why the politics of everything, but I wish that this movie would have come out a few years ago, like before. I feel like it would have added more weight to the Avengers, and I feel like maybe more people would have been invested in this movie, because going in and where we all know that, spoilers, she's already dead in the universe, kind of puts a damper on this movie. But as a film individually, I think it's really good. It has like a lot of fun spy stuff. You get a lot of like, wow, she's legitimately just a superhero, isn't she? She's not just a normal person. Like they built her in the first Avengers. But that's fun. And I think her character deserved it. Like she'd earned that as a character in the universe.
Oh, for sure. Point. I think almost to a fault, they make her like a superhero in this movie. Like there's that one scene where like she falls off of a building and hits like 5 things on the way down and then lands on her feet. And then you're just like, I guess she can't get hurt by anything. But
yeah,
I mean, so we already know she's going to survive the movie. And then there's like, and you really don't need to worry about her in this movie at all.
I mean, I think you have to suspend your disbelief in like, oh, she was like experimented on by the Russians when she was a kid, and then she was worked for S.H.I.E.L.D., so they probably put a bunch of stuff into her.
Sure.
During that. Yeah. So just be like, yeah, she's just Captain America. But
it just was one of those images that stuck with me. That was just like, she's like, bang, 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 and then just right on her feet, and I was just like, okay. But this movie does have like one of my favorite action scenes in a Marvel movie in a long time, with the opening, like when they're just like in a little airplane that's trying to take off, and it's very realistic. It seems like, realistic for a Marvel movie. I'm sure there's like 1,000 things in that scene where they're like, that plane would have been broken already. And you can't take off an airplane with David Harbour on the wing, and so throw it off balance and kill everybody.
I'm willing to let those things go.
But you were not as big of a fan of the Red Guardian, though, as I was.
No, I think he's not very great. It's one of those, like... It's just like in the Eternals. Not in the Eternals, Shang-Chi with Awkwafina. They just keep going back to the same thing too much. I feel like there is, like, this too much of a good thing, and Marvel doesn't understand how that works. I mean, it's why they put Iron Man in like 14 movies in a 3-year span, because like they don't understand how to like spread things out or like just give you a little dose here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. I just liked the joke every time that it happened. Fine. So, what is your number 7?
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, Ghostbusters was my number 8.
So, I think this is kind of a step up to, like, those 3 movies, I liked those 3 movies, and now we're stepping up, like, the next 7 movies are all movies where I was like, I thought these were great movies this year. Like, I think Ghostbusters Afterlife is a phenomenal film. I know that some people don't like it because of the kid motif and stuff. They don't like the original Ghostbusters aren't in it enough or whatever. But I'm like, I felt like it gave you a new story in an interesting way and hit on enough of the like old stuff to like give a little bit of fan service, but it wasn't just a fan service movie.
Yeah. And you say that as somebody who isn't nostalgic for Ghostbusters like at all.
No, don't particularly like the Ghostbusters movies that much. Like, I think they're fine. They're okay, but they're not ones where I'm like, I need to watch those all the time. I think I've seen the first one twice in my whole life.
So would you say this is your favorite Ghostbusters movie?
Oh, probably.
Sure.
I think the story is just more interesting. Maybe not interesting is the wrong one. Maybe it just engages me more.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like the characters actually drag me in a way where they feel like I like characters that feel like realistic and approachable, and I feel like in the first Ghostbuster movies, like I don't feel like those characters are approachable really.
Sure.
That's just my sense on them, which I'm sure I'm going to get some hate for, but Bill Murray's overrated. He sucks.
He sucks.
I don't
Oh my gosh.
I don't actually believe that. But I figure might as well say it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I really liked Ghostbusters. I liked it even more than I thought I would. And it even did things where I hope they don't do this, and they did them, and I still was even liked those things happening in the moment, particularly like bringing back different people that I would have thought maybe they shouldn't bring back, who are dead in real life. So. But,
like Melissa McCarthy when they put her in the movie?
Yeah, when she showed up. That's who it was. When they got her real ghost to be in the movie.
That was badass.
That movie, I don't like. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a ton else to say about it. I think that little girl she's going to be a real movie star.
Yep, probably. Yeah. I think that Paul Rudd guy too, like, I don't know. He's a supporting actor in this movie, but like I think he's gonna have his moment soon, and he's really gonna shine.
I think he's too ugly to be.
You think he's too ugly?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And they just put him in as like a dorky teacher in this movie. Maybe he's just gonna get typecast as that going forward. So, but I think he might break out.
All right. Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for Paul Rudd.
For Paul Rudd. My number 6 movie is Pig.
Pig is on my list. It's my number 2.
Yes. I know you have this one much higher. Yeah, with Pig, I think like it was not the movie I was expecting it to be. And I think that was a good thing. Like I was expecting it to be much more like an action-y kind of movie. And it wasn't that. It was this really weird, bizarre, interesting movie that if you haven't seen, you should see. I don't want to spoil it at all. Because I feel like there's just a lot of good growth and very human moments in it that you don't want to, like, you just want to see it. I would just say see it. I can't think of very many people I wouldn't recommend this movie to.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be some like strong language I can't remember.
There's some strong language, yeah. Yeah, this is the first time in a long time where I just did not know anything about the movie that we were getting ready to watch. And I probably wouldn't have gone to see it if our buddy Nick wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go watch Pig. You coming? I was like, I guess so. And then I sat down, and it's also the most scared I've ever been in a theater before the movie started because I just didn't know what was going to happen. And so I did like that. That was exciting. But like, I just echo everything you said. Like, don't want to spoil anything. I think everybody should see Pig. Don't be like dissuaded at all by having Nicolas Cage in it, or thinking you know what's going to happen. You can know. I'm happy to say, or easy, I can say without worrying about spoilers, like it takes place in Portland, so you can like, that's cool as somebody who lives in Oregon and everything. And so, but yeah, Pig is good. It's one of those movies that I've watched a few times, and but I find myself thinking about it all the time. Like, I'll be at the grocery store and I'll see things at the grocery store and I'll be like, look, Kayla, just like this reminds me of Pig. And she'll be like, oh yeah, cool. So,
has she seen it?
Yes, I showed her. I bought it so I could show her.
Oh wow. Number 5 for me is The Green Knight. I don't have a ton to say about this movie. It's one that just like, I feel like it's cinematically like really beautiful.
Oh yeah,
that's one thing. Like, it's really, really well shot. The pacing's really good. The story's really good. The acting's really good. It's one of those like movies where you watch it and I don't know if there's anything that like really like sticks with me super hard. Like, I don't think about the movie that much, but like when I do, I'm like, oh yeah, that movie was just really good. And it's not for everybody. That's for sure. No. This is unlike Pig. This is not for everybody. It's a little artsy. Slow. There's some moments. I've heard a lot of people say
it's slow.
Yeah. I felt like the pacing is just so good, and the end of it, like the ending, is just worth every minute of it. Yes. So yeah, it's an arty movie. It's based on the Arthurian legend, right? And so it's good.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This movie almost made my top 10. It's my number 13. But it is, I don't know. Like, I didn't go see it, and then you went and saw it because I had missed a week of going to the movies for whatever reason. And you're like, I saw Green Knight, and I don't know how I feel about it. And I was like, I got to see Green Knight now so that I can have an opinion about the Green Knight. And I don't know. It's just one of those movies that, again, sticks with me, and I think about it. Like, it comes up in my head, and I'm like, oh man, that's wild. And then I'll always, wherever I start thinking about the Green Knight, I always work my way to, man, that ending was very satisfying.
Number 4 is Bond. James Bond.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die.
That's my number 4 as well.
We've been looking forward to this movie. It's supposed to come out like a year and a half ago, or a year and a half before it did.
Yep.
Looking forward to this a long time. Seth and I watched all of the James Bond movies together before, what was the one before this? Spectre. Before Spectre came out. And so, yeah, looking forward to this one for a while. And I think it's Craig's best one. I know that people like Skyfall. For me, it's the best one. I really like it. I think that, and maybe that's just because it's a very satisfying ending. It's clearly his last one.
Yeah.
And it's a very satisfying ending. I think they do a really good job of like paying homage to the past of like old Bonds and old Bond stories, while making it true to like Craig's character as Bond.
Mm-hmm.
It was everything I wanted it to be, and just delivered really excellently.
Yeah, I agree. It's really, really good, and I enjoyed the score a lot. But like the timing of it is so weird. How long we've lived with this movie as a movie that's going to come out. It's probably only going to be topped by Top Gun at this point, as like a movie where we knew it was coming out. We've seen trailers for it and everything, but it just hasn't come out yet.
What was like 2 years ago that what's her name won the Grammy for the song?
It was like a year ago, a little over a year ago, because Daniel Craig did SNL to promote the movie coming out, and then the next week COVID exploded, and like they shut down every theater, and they're like, this movie's not coming out, and it just kept getting pushed back and back and back more. It was like the first movie where they were like, we're not putting it out because of nobody can go see it.
Yeah.
But and I was worried it wouldn't pay off, but I think it did. It's probably in my top 5 Bonds.
Oh, I thought you were going to say my top 5 Daniel Craig movies.
I mean, my top 5 Daniel Craig movies are almost all James Bond movies anyway. Oh, Logan Lucky. That movie's really good, and he's in that. Did you see that one?
No, I
No?
haven't seen it.
Oh, that one's really funny. It's got Channing Tatum in it too, and Adam Driver. And they're like robbing this speedway on like this big
Oh,
race
yeah,
day.
I remember
And then,
hearing about that.
oh shoot, I forgot about Knives Out too. Shoot, never mind. Even if it's my favorite Bond movie with him, it's probably like my 3rd favorite Daniel Craig movie.
My number 3 movie for 2021 is Dune.
Dune was my 11th.
As a sci-fi fantasy lover, this is it's just a pinnacle. You know, it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that I want to see on screen. I want to see like big, epic ships and huge armies and big fights. And even though there's like some things that they do in the movie that I'm like, that's stupid. I just feel like it delivers on that scale that like really hits me emotionally. And they do like the scoring is really good in it. And just the cast is incredible. It is super, like, not only are these like a bunch of like really known people like Jason Momoa and Oscar Isaac, they deliver in their roles. Like these big names, Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya obviously is great in the movie.
Of course.
Main character. But everybody delivers in their role, as even like the people who you might be like, oh, they're just there for their name or whatever. Like, they're just good actors who do a really good job, and yeah, hits home.
Yeah, it's one of a few movies this year where we walk out of the theater and there are just people around us being like, I forgot how loud the movies were.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference too with IMAX too. IMAX is always loud.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't the loudest movie of the year. So.
No, it was not our loudest movie of the year. Free Guy.
Which is my number? No, it's not.
I was like, oh, it's top 2? Shoot.
No. My number 2 movie of the year just came out. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay, okay.
So it moved
up.
My
number 1. Is my number 1.
So, yeah. I'll let you talk about it. It's your number 1 movie of the year.
Dude, my number 1 movie of the year, Spider-Man No Way Home. And it paid off. Like everything I could have possibly wanted it to pay off. It had all of the things that like I was afraid to hope to have happen in the movie happened in the movie, pretty much. Even though my bingo card does not actually reflect that very well in how bad I did at guessing that and only getting like 2/5 of everything.
Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, it's great to see the villains and returning cast in different ways get to do things that maybe they didn't get to do before, and or keep doing things that they had done well, but just more of it, and people get to show that maybe it wasn't their fault that they were in movies and stuff that weren't as good. Again, don't want to get too specific. I mean, everybody knows at this point. If you're online at all, like the big stuff. But I still don't want to be the one to do it.
I said, didn't you spoil it in your last video?
Yeah, but I also said spoilers. So yeah. But anyway, all that stuff is great, and I loved it. And it leaves Spider-Man in a place as a character that I'm very excited for in the MCU. I know that makes me feel people. I say that to people, and they're like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yes, make my Spider-Man hurt."
Who knows though? Because at the end of the movie, it doesn't say Spider-Man will return. It just says Doctor Strange will return.
That's true. That's the last
Spider-Man
time.
Spider-Man might not return.
Yeah, it made $1 billion in 12 days during the pandemic, and they're like, you know what? We're just gonna. That's the last one.
I'm not saying that that's going to be their decision. Maybe Tom Holland's done. He keeps hinting he might be done.
Nah, I don't think that there's any chance in the world. He just wants to get more money. That's why you say those things.
I don't know.
It's fair. It's fair.
He's getting old now. He's like 25.
Getting old. He's like as old as Tobey Maguire was when he played Spider-Man the first time.
Yeah, and Tobey Maguire, man, he is getting old. Jesus.
He is. But yeah, that's what I gotta say about Spider-Man. It's really good. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it really delivers. It gives you, I think it delivers an emotional punch in a way that a lot of Marvel movies, like the other Marvel movies of the year, didn't do.
Oh yeah.
And they also don't have the same level of like, they don't have that character involvement that you have with Spider-Man, and like the connection from him being in 5 movies and being a main character, and this is his 3rd one. You might even be more than that. I've seen 6 movies.
Let's count Captain America, Civil War. We don't have to count if you were talking.
Well, it's Civil War. It's the 2 Avengers movies, and then the 3 Spider-Mans, right?
I think so. I don't think
he's in any others. So
yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, you have just a different emotional connection, but it gives that blow. I mean, yeah, my drive home from the movie theater was an emotional roller coaster. Even, a half an hour after the movie, when I'm getting home, I'm like sitting in my car waiting to get out because I'm just like, I gotta deal with my emotions in this. So it's really good, but it is not my number 1 movie of the year. So my number 1 movie of the year is Last Night in Soho. I just think it's like it's like almost flawless. Just for me, anyway. It tells like a really great character story. It's what I want out of a movie. Sure. A movie that tells a character story, has like interesting relationships. I like movies that focus on like a singular character. I mean, it kind of focuses on 2 characters, but it focuses on a singular story. It's very like linear, which I like in movies. I know not everybody likes that necessarily, but I like just a linear story, very simple, but with interesting concepts, a lot of creativity. It deals with mental illness, but also like supernatural stuff. And I think it hit me at like the right time too, just emotionally, to where it really. But I think about this movie all the time, and like every time I do, I'm just like, it's just really good. It's beautifully shot too. The writing is really good, and so that's why I think it was my favorite movie of the year. It's definitely again not for everybody. And
they do some crazy like practical effects stuff when it comes to like people switching and like mirror stuff. It's wild.
It's one of the best like flashback movies I've ever like. There's a lot of like flashing back to the past and then cutting back to the future, and they do it in like connect those things in a really interesting way. Where a lot of times, like, I don't know, flashbacks and a lot of things just feel like they get in the way, and this movie is a lot about the flashbacks. But I just feel like the way they connect the flashbacks to the present day is just, it's so perfect. They line everything up in a way where you feel like when you're in the flashback, you're still with the main character.
I get that. Yeah, it's just really good. And I mean, it's like got fun mystery stuff in it too. And I was describing it after we saw it, and it's like, it's the perfect kind of like put on at a Halloween party, especially if you're watching with people who like don't like scary movies, because it's like, it's not scary, but there's like, again, you mentioned like supernatural stuff and like thriller aspects that I think really kind of lend themselves to that kind of a thing. And there's a shame I couldn't recommend it to more people before it was out of theaters because nobody went to go see this movie.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah.
It's probably going to win some awards.
Maybe.
All sorts of awards.
So that was my number 9. So I guess just to go over my list, hit the couple that we didn't hit. My number 7 was the new Disney movie Encanto, which is a musical, and it's very good. And my whole family went and saw it without me because I was sick, or I think I had the baby who was sick. And then I went and watched it by myself in the movie theater, and I cried the whole time, pretty much. It was the movie that let me know, it was like, okay, your crier's not broken. You didn't cry at Spider-Man, but like you still cried at Encanto, so it's okay. Like, you're not broken. I know you think there's something wrong with me because I didn't cry at Spider-Man.
You should have, like 5 times.
I'm sorry.
5 times you should cry.
I've seen Spider-Man twice, and I did not cry either time. My number 6
Heartless.
Is Luca, which is the newest Pixar movie that came out this summer about the fish kids. And I really enjoyed that. It's a great movie just about friendship, about especially like when you're a kid and kind of being reminded about like being a champion for other people and happy for them and excited for them. And it doesn't always have to benefit you when your friends succeed and different stuff like that. So I really, really enjoyed that one. I've seen that one probably out of all the new movies. I've seen that movie the most because the kids put it on a lot, and I will actually sit down and watch good chunks of it. Number 5, another one we didn't talk about, The Suicide Squad. I really enjoyed this movie. I really like James Gunn, and so still waiting on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which will be in 2023, I believe, because they've started filming it, and so I'm excited about that. Nice. But the character stuff in that is good. It hits a lot of those same notes for me emotionally that the Guardians of the Galaxy movies did. But a little more R-rated than everything. Or a lot more R-rated.
Yeah, actually, this is, I think, the only one that you're going to mention that I have seen. I don't know why this isn't in my top 10. It wasn't on my list at all, so I think I just forgot about it. It might have bumped some of those other movies down a little bit. I don't know. I did really enjoy this movie as well. I think a lot of the concerns that I had about the movie are like all alleviated in like the first 7 minutes of the movie. So with like how big the cast is and certain people that they decided to put in the movie, and I felt like all of those people should have been in the movie exactly the amount they put them in the movie, and so that was really great. So that's really good.
I forgot about that.
It's one of those it's one of those interesting things, like, too, with what's her name who plays Harley Quinn,
Margot Robbie.
Like, she's now played her in, this is the 3rd time that she's played that role.
Yeah,
and like,
yes,
because she's in the first Suicide Squad, then there's like the
Birds
Harley
of Prey
Quinn movie, Birds of Prey, and then this one, and like those first 2 movies didn't really do super well. Like, they're not really well received. They didn't make a lot of money, but they just keep putting her in these movies, and like, she's just getting better in the role. Like, she's super good in this movie, and it's really interesting. Like, it's just an interesting thought to me. Like, that doesn't happen. If you make a bad movie, like you're in a movie and it doesn't do well, they usually don't keep putting you in the same role.
Yeah.
You know, Jared Leto is not going to get the Joker again, so.
Hey, but he did get the Joker again in the Batman, or in the Justice League 4-hour cut. So, who knows?
Yes, he did.
Anything is possible. But my number 3 is The Mitchells versus the Machines, which is a movie that I forgot came out. And then the kids watched it a little while ago, and I sat down and watched it with them again. It came out in like March, I think, on Netflix. And it is an animated movie about this family who is taking their oldest daughter, or their only daughter, their daughter to college. And while they're doing that, essentially iPhones take over the world and have robots and stuff and are kidnapping people. And it's them like stopping the robot apocalypse. And it's very funny. It's from the guys who did the Lego movie, Lord Miller. And it's like the Lego movie, except for the end for Tim. Tim feels like the end of the Lego movie is ruined when the live action stuff happened. Nothing like that happens.
Ruins the movie.
Nothing like that happens in this movie. And so I really think you should watch this one, Tim. It's one of those movies where I legitimately cry like almost the whole movie. Like, there's like, my eyes get dried out and then something else will happen where I'm crying. Because like the whole movie is about like this dad who's having to like let go of his kids and stuff. And it's just like, oh no, it's hitting me in all of those spots right now. But it's just a lot of
family stuff. We get it. You're a parent, okay?
I don't know if I've mentioned
you cry at parent stuff.
I don't know if I mentioned this before. I have kids, and sometimes I cry, and so. But yeah, that's my top 10. Cool. Well, Tim, thanks so much for joining me to talk about those videos, those movies. And thank you, everybody, for watching and subscribing. We'll be having some more talks with Tim this next week or so. And so thanks and look forward to that. Talk to you later. Bye.